Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Merci, Monsieur President. Mr. President, your FBI nominee said if someone in a campaign got an email about Russia like the one that your son Don Jr. received, that they should alert the FBI rather than accept that meeting. Is he wrong? Also, were you misled by your team in not knowing about this meeting? And Mr. President, thank you very much. You have heard President Trump say that it may have been Russia, it may have been others who interfered with the U.S. election. Is President Trump taking a hard enough line on Russia as you see it? Merci.
Well, I'll start off by saying, first of all, I believe that we will have a great FBI director. I think he's doing really well. And we're very proud of that choice. I think I've done a great service to the country by choosing him. He will make us all proud, and I think someday we'll see that, and hopefully someday soon. So we're very proud of him. As far as my son is concerned, my son is a wonderful young man. He took a meeting with a Russian lawyer, not a government lawyer, but a Russian lawyer. It was a short meeting. It was a meeting that went very, very quickly, very fast. Two other people in the room, I guess one of them left almost immediately, and the other one was not really focused on the meeting. I do think this, I think from a practical standpoint, most people would have taken that meeting. It's called opposition research or even research into your opponent. I've had many people, I have only been in politics for 2 years, but I've had many people call up, oh, gee, we have information on this factor or this person or, frankly, Hillary. That's very standard in politics. Politics is not the nicest business in the world, but it's very standard where they have information and you take the information. In the case of Don, he listened. I guess they talked about, as I see it, they talked about adoption and some things. Adoption wasn't even a part of the campaign. But nothing happened from the meeting. Zero happened from the meeting. And honestly, I think the press made a very big deal over something that really a lot of people would do. Now, the lawyer that went to the meeting, I see that she was in the halls of Congress also. Somebody said that her visa or her passport to come into the country was approved by Attorney General Lynch. Now, maybe that's wrong. I just heard that a little while ago, but it's a little surprised to hear that. So she was here because of Lynch. So, again, I have a son who's a great young man. He's a fine person. He took a meeting with a lawyer from Russia. It lasted for a very short period, and nothing came of the meeting. And I think it's a meeting that most people in politics probably would have taken. Mr. President?
Yes, to answer your question, I will.
Bien, pour répondre à votre question, je ne vais pas me mêler à la politique interne des États-Unis. Et je pense que c'est un bon principe que de ne pas interférer dans la vie nationale des autres.
And I do believe that both of us have a relationship with Russia. President Trump had more than 2 hours meeting with President Putin during the past G20. The last G20, and myself, I had 2 very long meetings with President Putin, the very first one in Versailles and the second one during the G20, and this relationship is very important. We have a lot of disagreements. We have a lot of discrepancies, obviously, with Russia. But in the current environment, especially in the Middle East, it's a necessity to work together, to exchange information, to share these agreements, and to try to build solutions. So that's my relationship with Russia, and we don't have, obviously, the same relationship as the one with the US, but that's a long-standing relationship with Russia as well, and I think it's important that both of us have direct discussion and contact with President Putin.
One of the great things that came out of that meeting, by the way, even though it's not part of the question, was the fact that we got a ceasefire that now has lasted for, I guess, Mr. President, almost 5 days. And while 5 days doesn't sound like a long period of time, in terms of a ceasefire in Syria, that's a very long period of time. And that was a result of having communication with a country. So during that 5-day period, a lot of lives have been saved. A lot of people were not killed. No shots have been fired. in a very, very dangerous part of the world, and this is one of the most dangerous parts of Syria itself. So by having some communication and dialogue, we were able to have a ceasefire, and it's going to go on for a while. And frankly, we're working on a second ceasefire in a very rough part of Syria. And if we get that and a few more, all of a sudden you're going to have no bullets being fired in Syria, and that would be a wonderful thing. Mr. President, you have a question?
Troisième question.
Oui, bonsoir, Monsieur le Président. Mathieu Coach.
Third question from BFM TV, a question to President Macron. You went to Lausanne in order to support Paris' bid for the Olympic Games, and on this occasion you somehow criticized President Trump's policy without naming him. You said that France made a very clear choice to leave its border open and not to build walls to protect its people. Do you condemn the Muslim ban and the building of a wall between the United States and Mexico? Regarding Syria, as it was just mentioned by President Trump, does France stand ready to talk directly with Bashar al-Assad in the negotiation that you mentioned?
You've mentioned a friend, Jim. We told you that Paris is no longer Paris. You were implying at the time that Paris was not safe anymore. You've also said that France and Germany are infected by terrorism, and, quote, it's their fault because they let people enter their territory. Those are very strong words. Would you repeat them today? And do you still believe that France is not able to fight terrorism on its own territory? Thank you.
You better let me answer that one first. That's a beauty. He's the one that asked the question. That wasn't even one of my picks. You know what? It's going to be just fine because you have a great president. You have somebody that's going to run this country right. And I would be willing to bet, because I think this is one of the great cities, one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And you have a great leader now. You have a great president. You have a tough president. He's not going to be easy on people that are breaking the laws and people that show this tremendous violence. So I really have a feeling that you're going to have a very, very peaceful and beautiful Paris. And I'm coming back. You better do a good job, please. Otherwise, you're going to make me look very bad.
And you're always welcome.
Thank you.
Sur la première question, j'ai répondu.
Regarding the first question, like I said, I believe that the discussions that we've had today is the proper answer to terrorism. The right answer is strengthen cooperation between our services, never-ending fight against terrorists, no matter where they are. This is what I was referring to. This is what we are working on actively together. So in this respect, there is no difference and no gap between the French and the American positions. When I have something to say, I say it clearly, and I do say who I'm aiming at. And when I refer to those who've been my opponents in the French political battle, I also mention the names. So let us not mix up everything. And regarding the fight against terrorism, I think that the right approach is to have a strengthened cooperation in the field of intelligence, is also to be working together on all the theaters of operation where we are, and I think that the decisions we've reached today will enable us to do more. Next, your question regarding Bashar al-Assad, which is an important one. Let me put it simply. Indeed, we now have a new approach of Syria, because we want some results and we want to be closely working together with our partners, including the United States of America. We have one main goal, which is to eradicate terrorism, no matter who they are. We want to build an inclusive and sustainable political solution. Against that background, I do not require Assad's departure. This is no longer a prerequisite for France to work on that, because I can only tell you that for 7 years we did not have an embassy in Damas, and still we have no solution. Next, we also have a common red line together with President Trump. He intervened before I was elected And I said it to President Putin after my election, no use whatsoever of chemical weapons. Any use will lead to reaction, an attack against a reaction regarding the storage places. And next, we also want humanitarian corridors. Also, we want to build a sustainable political stability for Syria. This is our roadmap. In order to stick to it, we need a diplomatic initiative beyond our military actions. This is what we've been agreeing upon because we want to take an initiative with the members of the Security Council and a number of countries involved in the process in the matter. Of course, there will be representatives of Assad that will enable us to put in place the roadmap for after the war. But there will also be representatives of the Syrian opposition and people with different backgrounds, and we will talk to all of them against that background. Very well. Allow me to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and once again thank President Trump for his visit. And I will be seeing him in a few moments in a friendly atmosphere.
Thank you very much. Great honor. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you.